Highly spiritual people quit these things to raise their vibration by 10x. Let me ask you something. Before we even begin, what are you willing to let go of to become the highest version of yourself? Not what you're willing to add. That's where most people get stuck. They think raising their vibration is about doing more meditation, more affirmations, more spiritual practices. But here's the secret that highly spiritual people know: it's not about adding things to your life. It's about subtracting. It's about quitting the habits, mindsets, and energies that are keeping you stuck at a lower vibration. The truth is, your natural state is already high vibrational. You don't have to force it, you just have to uncover it by releasing what no longer serves you. So, what are these things that highly spiritual people quit? Let's start with one of the most common but insidious blocks: toxic relationships. And I don't just mean romantic relationships. This could be a friendship, a family dynamic, or even a professional connection. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to drain your energy the moment they walk into the room? It's not your imagination. Every interaction is an exchange of energy, and if someone is constantly bringing negativity, criticism, or drama into your life, they're lowering your vibration. Highly spiritual people understand this, and they make the hard choice to distance themselves. Let me ask you, who in your life makes you feel lighter, more expansive, more aligned, and who makes you feel heavy, chaotic, or small? The answers to those questions will reveal a lot about where your energy is being siphoned. But here's the thing: it's not just about avoiding toxic people. It's also about quitting the need to fix or save others. Spiritual people often fall into this trap because they feel so deeply. They see someone in pain and think, I can help them, I can heal them. But here's the hard truth: you can't heal anyone who isn't ready to heal themselves. And when you pour all your energy into trying, you deplete your own vibration. Highly spiritual people know that true healing comes from within, and their role is to inspire, not to rescue. So the question becomes, are you trying to save someone at the expense of your own peace?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now let's talk about another thing that keeps people stuck: attachment to material things. This doesn't mean you have to give up all your possessions and live in a cave. It's not about the things themselves, it's about your emotional attachment to them. Do you define your self-worth by what you own? Does the fear of losing something keep you in a state of anxiety? Highly spiritual people understand that material things are temporary, and clinging to them only creates suffering. They quit the need to hoard, to impress, or to control through possessions. Instead, they embrace simplicity and gratitude for what they have. Let me ask you, if you lost everything tomorrow, would you still know who you are? That's the kind of detachment we're talking about. Another major thing highly spiritual people quit is the victim mindset. This one is huge because it's so easy to fall into. Life throws challenges at all of us, and it's tempting to think, why is this happening to me? But here's the truth: the moment you see yourself as a victim, you give away your power. Highly spiritual people don't see challenges as punishments, they see them as opportunities for growth. They quit blaming others, quit blaming circumstances, and instead take radical responsibility for their energy and their choices. Here's a question to sit with: in what areas of your life are you still holding on to blame? What would happen if you let it go and reclaimed your power? Let's shift gears to something even more subtle, but equally important: quitting negative self-talk. You may not even realize how often your inner dialogue lowers your vibration. Every time you criticize yourself, doubt yourself, or compare yourself to others, you're reinforcing the belief that you're not enough. Highly spiritual people quit this destructive habit by becoming mindful of their thoughts. They don't just let their minds run on autopilot, they consciously choose thoughts that uplift and empower them. But this isn't about fake positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about being compassionate with yourself and redirecting your energy toward growth instead of self-doubt. So let me ask you, what's the story you're telling yourself about who you are? Is it lifting you up or holding you down? And we can't ignore the role of technology in lowering our vibration. Highly spiritual people quit mindless scrolling, endless notifications, and the constant need for digital stimulation. Why? Because every time you pick up your phone, you're opening yourself up to an influx of energy, some of it good, but a lot of it chaotic, fear-based, or distracting. Social media, in particular, is a breeding ground for comparison, judgment, and low-frequency energy. Spiritual people set boundaries with their devices because they know their attention is sacred. They quit the need to be constantly connected and instead prioritize real, meaningful interactions with themselves, with others, and with the divine. Here's a question: how much of your time and energy are you giving away to your devices? What would happen if you reclaimed that time for your spiritual growth? Lastly, let's talk about fear. Fear is the ultimate vibration killer, and highly spiritual people quit letting it control them. But here's the thing about fear: it's sneaky. It doesn't always show up as panic or terror. Sometimes it shows up as procrastination, as the need for control, or as the voice that says, "What if I fail?" Highly spiritual people don't eliminate fear entirely, that's impossible, but they quit letting it make their decisions. They face it head-on, knowing that every time they do, their vibration rises. So let me ask you, what fear is holding you back right now? And what would your life look like if you moved through it instead of running from it? This is just the beginning of what highly spiritual people quit to raise their vibration by 10x. But remember, quitting isn't about deprivation or loss, it's about liberation. It's about creating space for the light, peace, and power that's already within you to shine. Are you ready to continue this journey? Let's go deeper. The silent saboteurs, quitting invisible habits that drain your spirit. Now that we've explored the major things highly spiritual people quit, let's go deeper into the subtler, often invisible habits that quietly sabotage your vibration. These are the sneaky behaviors, mindsets, and patterns that operate in the background of your life, so subtle that you might not even realize they're dragging you down. But once you become aware of them, everything changes. Awareness is the key to transformation, and by quitting these silent saboteurs, you'll unlock a level of freedom and spiritual clarity that few ever experience. Let's start with something many people overlook: the habit of seeking external validation. How often do you measure your worth by how others perceive you? Whether it's through social media likes, praise from a boss, or approval from family, this need for validation is one of the biggest blockers of spiritual growth. Why? Because every time you seek validation outside of yourself, you disconnect from your inner power. Highly spiritual people quit this habit because they know their worth isn't determined by anyone else. They don't live for applause or approval, they live in alignment with their truth. Let me ask you, how much of your energy is spent trying to be seen, appreciated, or validated by others? And what would change if you gave yourself the approval you're constantly seeking? Next, let's talk about overthinking. This one is huge. Overthinking is like quicksand for your vibration. It traps you in endless loops of doubt, worry, and mental noise. And the worst part, most of the things you overthink about never actually happen. Highly spiritual people quit overthinking because they understand a profound truth: the mind is a tool, not a master. When your mind is overactive, it disconnects you from your intuition, your presence, and your peace. But here's the thing: quitting overthinking isn't about stopping your thoughts. That's impossible. It's about creating space between you and your thoughts. Meditation, mindfulness, and breathwork are powerful tools for this. The next time you catch yourself spiraling in overthinking, try this pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me or is it draining me? That simple question can snap you out of overthinking and bring you back to your center. Another silent saboteur that highly spiritual people quit is judgment. And not just judgment of others, judgment of themselves. Judgment is one of the lowest vibrations because it's rooted in separation. When you judge someone else, you create a barrier between you and them, reinforcing the illusion that we're all separate. When you judge yourself, you disconnect from your own divine nature. Spiritual people quit judgment by practicing compassion. They understand that everyone is on their own unique journey, and that includes themselves. The next time you catch yourself judging someone, ask, what part of me am I projecting onto them? And when you catch yourself judging yourself, ask, what part of me needs love right now? These questions will shift your energy from judgment to understanding, from separation to unity. Let's move on to another big one, the habit of staying in your comfort zone. The comfort zone is a tricky place because it feels safe, but it's actually a cage. It keeps you small, stagnant, and disconnected from your potential. Highly spiritual people quit this habit because they know that growth happens outside the comfort zone. They embrace discomfort as a teacher, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to expand. So let me ask you, where in your life are you playing it safe? What would happen if you stepped into the unknown, even if it scared you? Remember, your vibration doesn't rise by doing what's easy, it rises by doing what's necessary. Another silent saboteur that highly spiritual people quit is the habit of complaining. Complaining is like a magnet for negativity. Every time you complain, you're reinforcing the very thing you're unhappy about. It's like saying to the universe, give me more of this. Spiritual people understand that what you focus on grows. Instead of complaining, they choose gratitude. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means shifting your perspective. The next time you catch yourself about to complain, pause and ask, what's one thing I can be grateful for in this moment? Gratitude is a high vibrational state, and it's one of the quickest ways to shift your energy. Finally, let's talk about the habit of holding on to the past. This one is so subtle and yet so powerful. How often do you replay past mistakes, regrets, or painful memories in your mind? Every time you do, you're anchoring your energy in a lower vibration. Highly spiritual people quit this habit because they know that the past is a teacher, not a prison. They take the lessons and leave the rest. But letting go of the past isn't just about mental effort, it's a deep, intentional practice. Forgiveness is a big part of this, and not just forgiveness of others, forgiveness of yourself. So let me ask you, what are you still holding on to from your past? And what would it feel like to finally release it? Quitting these silent saboteurs isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. The more aware you become of these habits, the easier it is to let them go. And every time you let one go, your vibration rises. You become lighter, freer, and more connected to your true self. The beauty of this process is that it's not about adding anything new, it's about uncovering the brilliance that's already within you. Detaching from the noise, reclaiming your energy in a chaotic world. As we go even deeper into this journey, let's address something we all face daily, the endless noise of the world around us. We live in a time of constant stimulation, news alerts, social media updates, opinions flying at us from every direction. It's like we're swimming in a sea of noise, and most people don't even realize how much of their energy is being drained by it. What highly spiritual people understand is this: to raise your vibration by 10x. You have to quit letting the external chaos control your internal state. You have to detach from the noise, reclaim your energy, and focus it where it truly matters. Let's start with the most obvious form of noise, the media. Whether it's the news, social media, or entertainment, the vast majority of what we consume is designed to trigger us. Fear sells, outrage sells, comparison sells. And the more you engage with it, the more it hooks into your energy field like a parasite, feeding off your attention. Highly spiritual people quit mindless consumption of media because they know their attention is sacred. They don't let algorithms dictate what they think about, feel, or believe. Instead, they choose their inputs carefully, like a gardener planting seeds. So let me ask you, what are you feeding your mind every day? And is it helping you grow, or is it keeping you stuck in fear, anger, or lack? But it's not just about quitting toxic media, it's about quitting the need to react to everything. Think about how often you feel compelled to respond to a comment online, to the latest political drama, to someone else's opinion. Reaction is a form of energy leakage. Every time you react, you're giving a piece of your power away. And highly spiritual people quit this habit by practicing discernment. They ask themselves, is this worth my energy? Does this align with my highest self? And more often than not, the answer is no. They understand that not everything requires a response. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, am I acting out of alignment or am I reacting out of ego? That small moment of awareness can save you from countless energy drains. Another form of noise we need to address is the expectations of others. How often do you make decisions based on what other people think you should do? Whether it's your family, friends, or society at large, these expectations can act like invisible chains, holding you back from living authentically. Highly spiritual people quit living for others and start living for themselves. They understand that they're not here to meet anyone else's expectations, they're here to fulfill their soul's purpose. But this requires courage. It means being willing to disappoint people, to say no, and to go against the grain. Let me ask you, where in your life are you still prioritizing others' opinions over your own truth? And what would it feel like to finally break free? Now let's talk about the internal noise, the chatter of the mind. Your mind is like a radio that's always on, broadcasting worries, fears, judgments, and distractions. But here's the thing, you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. Highly spiritual people quit identifying with their mental noise and instead cultivate inner stillness. This doesn't mean their minds are silent all the time, it means they don't attach to every thought that arises. They observe their thoughts like clouds passing in the sky, knowing they're temporary. A powerful practice to quiet the internal noise is mindfulness. When the chatter gets loud, bring your attention to the present moment. Feel your breath. Notice the sensations in your body. Ask yourself, what's real right now, in this moment? The more you anchor yourself in the present, the less power your thoughts have over you. There's one more layer to this detachment, and it might surprise you, quitting the need to always be doing something. In our culture, busyness is often glorified. We equate productivity with worth and stillness with laziness. But highly spiritual people understand that true power comes from being, not doing. They quit the endless cycle of busyness and embrace moments of stillness and rest. Why? Because when you're constantly doing, you disconnect from your being. And your being, your essence, is where your true vibration resides. So let me ask you, when was the last time you allowed yourself to simply be, without guilt or distraction? What might you discover about yourself in the stillness? Detaching from the noise isn't about escaping the world or living in isolation. It's about creating enough space in your life to hear your own soul. It's about reclaiming your energy so you can use it to create, to heal, and to align with your highest purpose. The more you detach from the noise, the more clearly you'll hear the whispers of your intuition, the guidance of the divine, and the truth of who you are. The art of surrender, letting go to rise higher. As we step into the final part of this journey, let's address the deepest and most liberating truth of all. Raising your vibration isn't about control. It's not about forcing, striving, or even perfecting. It's about surrender. It's about letting go of everything that weighs you down: your fears, your expectations, your need to control outcomes, and trusting the flow of life. Highly spiritual people understand this at their core. The more you surrender, the higher you rise. The art of surrender is the ultimate key to raising your vibration by 10x, because it allows you to align with the infinite power of the universe instead of struggling against it. But what does surrender really mean? Let's start with what it's not. Surrender isn't about giving up or being passive. It's not about resigning yourself to circumstances you don't like. Surrender is an active choice. It's choosing to release resistance and flow with what is, instead of clinging to what you think should be. Imagine you're holding a rope tied to a heavy weight. The harder you pull, the more exhausted you become. But the moment you let go, you're free. That's what surrender feels like: freedom. One of the biggest things we resist is change. Change is uncomfortable, unpredictable, and often scary. But here's the truth: resisting change is like standing in a river and trying to stop the current. It's exhausting, and ultimately it's impossible. Highly spiritual people quit resisting change because they understand that life is always evolving. They don't cling to old identities, relationships, or circumstances out of fear. Instead, they see change as an opportunity to grow and expand. Let me ask you, where in your life are you resisting change? And what would happen if you trusted that the changes happening right now are leading you to something better? Another major aspect of surrender is letting go of the need to control outcomes. How often do you try to micromanage every detail of your life, thinking that if you just work harder or worry more, everything will go your way? This need for control comes from fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of disappointment. But here's the paradox: the more you try to control, the more you block the flow of abundance and miracles. Highly spiritual people quit this habit because they know that the universe has a plan far greater than anything they could imagine. They set intentions, take inspired action, and then release attachment to the outcome. They trust that whatever unfolds is for their highest good. So let me ask you, what are you trying to control right now? And what would it feel like to release that need and trust the process? Surrender also requires letting go of self-imposed expectations. We all carry an image of who we think we should be, how our lives should look, and what success means. But these expectations often come from ego, not soul. They create pressure, comparison, and a constant feeling of not enough. Highly spiritual people quit chasing these external standards and instead align with their inner truth. They measure their success not by how much they've achieved, but by how much peace, joy, and love they feel in their hearts. Let me ask you, are you living for your soul or for your ego? And what expectations could you release to create more space for your authentic self? Finally, surrender is about releasing the past and forgiving yourself and others. Holding on to past pain, regret, or resentment is like carrying a heavy backpack up a mountain. It weighs you down and makes every step harder. Highly spiritual people quit carrying this burden because they know it's impossible to rise higher while clinging to the past. Forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened, it's about freeing yourself from its grip. It's about saying, I release this so I can be free. Let me ask you, what are you still holding on to from your past? And what might shift if you finally forgave and let go? The art of surrender is the ultimate act of trust. It's trusting that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when things don't make sense. It's trusting that you are always guided, always supported, and always enough. When you surrender, You don't lose control, you gain freedom. You become a channel for divine energy, and your vibration naturally rises. You begin to live in alignment with the flow of life, and that's where the magic happens. So let me leave you with this final question. What are you still holding onto that's keeping you from rising? What would happen if, right now, you chose to let it go? Because the truth is, everything you've ever wanted, peace, joy, love, abundance, is already within you. All you have to do is surrender to it. The path to raising your vibration by 10x isn't about doing more. It's about letting go, trusting, and aligning with the infinite power that's always been there, waiting for you to say yes. Will you say yes?